Alright, how's it going, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the Vancouver Canucks and when they are going to be an actual Stanley Cup contender, and I guess just kind of what is that timeline? And so to start things off, I guess let's just kind of talk about what it takes to be a rebuilding team, or what it takes to obviously rebuild a team that obviously fell from glory like the Vancouver Canucks is. Of course, we were in the Stanley Cup Finals in 2011 now, seems like just yesterday, but 2011 Stanley Cup Finals, Vancouver Canucks versus the Boston Bruins, and of course we lose in Game 7 at home. And then of course the Canucks saw the playoffs after that, but honestly guys, after that 2011 moment, we were just never really the same team. But it is okay, because every single NHL team, regardless of who you are, maybe besides the Detroit Red Wings, who were obviously in the playoffs for 25 consecutive seasons, which is just crazy, from 1991 to 2016. But that is very, I guess, abnormal. But most teams go through booms and then they bust. And that is when the rebuild has to occur. So after 2011, I guess after 2012, and then we had a top pick in 2014, of course, where we drafted Jake Virtanen. The Vancouver Canucks were kind of on the fence of whether we should rebuild or not for a very long time. Now we can debate whether that's because of ownership pushing, obviously, the team, the general manager, into winning more, or whether it's just because of management making some very bad decisions. But for a while there, it's kind of frustrating as a Canucks fan to see us kind of on the fence. Should we keep signing veterans like Lou Eriksson, or should we just, rebuild and just aim for very high draft picks? And for a while there, like I just mentioned, I was actually kind of frustrated with the team because I just wanted us to commit. We could suffer for a couple years, get some really good draft picks, and then be back in the mix. However, that didn't happen for a couple years. We had a couple pretty bad seasons where we were just, there was no way we were going to actually contend for a cup. But at the same time, there's no way we were going to be, a bottom team. We're just kind of stuck in a bad pattern of mediocrity. However, starting with some very good drafting, obviously Brock Boeser, Elias Pettersson, Quinn Hughes, Vasily Podkolzin, Thatcher Demko, and I guess throw in Jake Virtanen because he is an NHL roster player. The Vancouver Canucks have a very young, very good core. And honestly, it's just great to see, because if you look at the history of the Vancouver Canucks, we've had some very good, I don't really know what you want to call it, very good cores. Obviously, we had the Sedins saga, the Marcus Naslund saga, Pavel Bure, Trevor Linden. The Vancouver Canucks have had a great history of having some really good cores. And as a Canucks fan, I think it is very exciting because I feel like we are just coming on to the new generation that is going to lead us to a lot of success. So of course, we just saw Elias Pettersson just completely light up the NHL last season. 28 goals, 66 points in 71 games. Just great totals from a rookie. Now he did trail off a bit, but that is kind of expected, of course, from a 19-20-year-old. But with that being said, like I kind of mentioned before, the Vancouver Canucks still have a very young core. And we can kind of put a lot of pressure on them to go out and make the playoffs next year and try to contend, but that's not necessarily the smartest thing to do. We've seen it many times before where teams put too much pressure on their young forwards, their young core, I guess, and it just does not turn out well. Just look at the Edmonton Oilers. They have really depended on, all their first overall picks, all their high draft picks to come in, fill the shoes of obviously the other veterans that they're replacing, and it just doesn't work out. And as a Vancouver Canucks fan, I do not want to see that. I think Jim Benning so far has done a pretty good job transitioning these players into the NHL. I think Elias Pettersson's a good example. I think he probably could have played last year, but Jim Benning did see the opportunity playing one more season in the SHL, which obviously he did. And then even Quinn Hughes, honestly, Quinn Hughes could have played last season, but some extra seasoning in the NCAA really helped. So the crazy thing about the Vancouver Canucks is that I believe we have a pretty good team right now. And when you do have a good young core, I guess here's an example. The Pittsburgh Penguins have kind of changed things up as of recently, but for a long time, you kind of knew what to expect. Sidney Crosby, Malkin, Phil Kessel, Chris Letang, even Fleury, they were all going to perform to what they're expected to do. But, you weren't really expecting a year where they're just going to jump way ahead of what they're expected to do. But for a young team like the Vancouver Canucks, where we have so many rookies and so much unpredictable growth, that is what makes us so exciting. And the crazy thing is, though, guys, is it really seems like our team is just full of great young talent. Which it is, But for the most part, lots of our rookies, lots of our, I guess blue chip prospects are still marinating in the minors. So even though it seems like our team's just on the uprise full of this young talent, we still have so much young talent. Niels Höglander now, Vasily Podkolzin, Jet Wu. We still have a lot of great young talent in the minors. So it does kind of make it a bit unpredictable because you never really know how those guys are going to turn out. But as of right now, when I look at the Vancouver Canucks roster, I see a lot of hope, but I don't think they're going to walk in next season and compete for the Cup. I think that is very unrealistic. I don't know if anyone actually thinks that. But again, given that we're going to see a lot of internal growth in our young superstars, expect around 2 to 3 years, and then especially with some other guys like Vasily Podkolzin joining our lineup, expect the Vancouver Canucks to be Cup contenders once again. Now, don't get me wrong, I do see some holes within our lineup. Goaltending is a bit of a question mark right now. Will Markstrom perform? Will Thatcher Demko develop into a starting goaltender? That is one question mark. But I think the biggest question mark that the Canucks are seeing right now, and it's something that I hope we touch on next offseason and at least next draft, I guess if we have our first round pick, is our defensive core. Now, of course, Quinn Hughes, he is really looking like the future top defenseman the Vancouver Canucks have been needing for many years. However, Quinn Hughes alone is not enough. Now, of course, we just signed guys like Tyler Myers, we still have Alex Edler, Chris Tanev. A lot of these guys aren't going to be on our team, though, in 4 or 5 years down the line when we're actually going to be in Stanley Cup contention. Now that's when other guys like Jet Wu come into mind, Jack Rathbone, some of our younger prospects within our lineup, but I still don't know if that's enough. Acquiring a top 2 defenseman is just not an easy thing to do. In fact, it's almost next to impossible. If you're going to have a top 2 defenseman, most of the time, they are going to be a top 2 defenseman that your team drafted. So the Vancouver Canucks want to be obviously a cup contending team, of course they do. I think it's going to be really important next offseason that we really focus on either drafting, acquiring, or do something with some good young defensive talent. Not to mention that, I've been seeing a lot of questions. Is Quinn Hughes really the defenseman that we need? I think he is. But one thing that's also important to notice is that Quinn Hughes is offensive defenseman. He is an offensive-minded defenseman, meaning, of course, he's great to have on any team, but you still need, obviously, those reliable, more two-way, well-rounded defensemen. Maybe Ole Levy, maybe Jet Wu can pan out to be that guy. I don't know if they have top 2 upside. But again, our defense is definitely something that we're going to need to focus on in the next couple years and building if we actually want to be a cup contender. Because other than that, guys, our forward core is looking great. If Thatcher Demko can walk in and become an actual starting goaltender, that's great. If we actually keep Jacob Markstrom and he's able to, obviously, if we're able to have that goalie tandem of Markstrom and Demko, that's great. Obviously, Elias Pettersson, Brock Boeser, Bo Horvat. And then, guys, imagine when Vasily Podkolzin comes into our lineup 2 years from now on an entry-level contract. That is just going to be awesome. And if he does pan out to be that top 6 forward, marinating, seasoning within the KHL, walks in as an impact player right away on an entry-level contract, playing with Elias Pettersson and Brock Boeser, that might just be a nasty line. So, I guess the answer to the question of this video is, when will the Vancouver Canucks be a Stanley Cup contender, or I guess, will they ever be? And personally, I actually really do believe that they will. And I know Canucks fans are very excited for us to walk in next season and prove a lot of people wrong, but I don't want to set expectations too high. Now, will we make the playoffs next season? That's a whole other debate. Because there's a big difference between being a playoff team and then being a cup contending team. The Vancouver Canucks may dabble in the playoffs the next couple seasons, but I think it's going to be around 3 seasons from now that the Vancouver Canucks are actually considered a top contending team. We really do have all the pieces. We have a really solid center depth now. Question marks on the bottom 6, but Elias Pettersson and Bo Horvat are really going to be a great center tandem. One of the better center tandems, in my opinion, if Elias Pettersson keeps getting better, Bo Horvat keeps developing in the whole NHL. In the bottom 6, we have some good shutdown guys, and obviously some uprising talent like Tyler Madden, Adam Gaudette. The Vancouver Canucks have done a lot to fix the winger depth, obviously Brock Boeser, JT Miller, Michael Verland, Jake Virtanen. So I really do think it depends on whether we are able to grow another top-end defenseman or we go out and get one. Give it 3 years, guys, and I think the Canucks are actually going to be a serious cup contending team. Anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think down below. Sorry if this video was probably all over the place. I'm still sick, but I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. But anyways, guys, again, let me know, when do you think the Vancouver Canucks will be an actual Stanley Cup contending team? Not just playoff team, because I mean, you can make the argument that next year we are a playoff team. When will we be an actual contending team? Anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys later.